So I'll just give you a brief intro about Anđelika. She is actually she's one of the young leaders who was invited to participate in the World Economic Forum in Davos. I think that's quite a credential, right? So Anđelika is going to talk about the role of youth in shaping the future business models.
Thank you so much. Good morning, guys. Well, I'm still so happy to be there because I'm still this young person. I'm so happy I'm still under 30 and I can talk when we've been sharing some thoughts with Damon as, well, you know, what I can share because I do many stuffs. I work for Association of International Companies. I founded some businesses, failed some businesses. I am extremely involved in social entrepreneurship as well as business ethics. And you know, he said, I think it's the most important if you could share with us your experience of how to be kind of a successful young person, even though I feel just a simple humanity there. And we'll talk today, I think, about 4 core things, I believe, how young people can change or influence the nowadays business and how it's actually happening every day already. First, I will talk about how I was shaped, about understanding in which workplace environment I can work. The second, I will share the thought about values, thirdly, about leadership, and finally, about failures. Because I think it's not a success which brings us to the stars, but it's about our mistakes. So first, yesterday I was trying to remember what was the biggest influence in my life to understand where I can work. And in 2007, I ended up in London working in internship, working for a company called Happy. A wonderful title, and imagine this company, actually what they're doing, computer consultancy. So amazing, right? And this is a picture from their office. If you could see the first feeling when I joined this company and opened the office, what I saw porcelain pig, porcelain cow. The walls were like in a kindergarten, and the boss comes out and with a t-shirt and shorts and says, "Hi, how are you?" I'm like, is it my CEO? Right. And then after 3 months spending there, I realized, and I was put in the process where I literally saw that out of the 2,000 participants, applicants for a job in this company, no one was recruited. And this was really the experience for me to understand that business can be not so traditional. We cannot come only with the suits. Actually, my boss had a dark suit and a dark room. So if he would have a serious business, he would just change, you know, in a serious meeting. So he would just change and come up very nice with a tie. But he would not bother about being really smart in a way. But the core principles of this company was about developing other people. It's always about helping other people. It's always about finding the potential of what do you do guys best to help you to grow. And definitely, finally, it was all about ethics, corporate social responsibility, and giving back to the community. Because actually this company was one of the first UK companies started some aid in Uganda. So we have some relationship here. So at that time, I was really shaped by the thinking, wow, in what kind of environment I can work? Because back here in Lithuania, I had this understanding of, oh, well, I look out to a boring company, you know, with some rules, very strict, shouting CEOs, you know, very coming at 8 and finishing at 5. And it's completely changed my mind in a way that I can choose. And definitely, you know, guys, and this was mentioned today, that we will create the workplace of tomorrow. And we will create the workplace of tomorrow not just by simple matter of age, because we are millennials, but what was said, because we are 50% of our population. Because this is what we value, we will bring to the corporates. What we value will be the rules of the game in the next decades. 75% of employees will be millennials in 2025. So imagine, sooner or later, leadership positions are in our hands. And it's not easy to understand because it's responsibility. It's responsibility to learn how do we do stuff. And it's responsibility to understand and, right, to come up first with our values. Because whatever happens in your life, if you have any critical situations, what do you backbone yourself with? It's definitely your values. If you are gonna to sleep in your workplace, and if you will have to make a tough decision, what you gonna come back to? It's your values. And therefore, I had a very nice story from a professor in Columbia. So like 5 years ago, she was saying me, you know, every year, in the end of a year, the business top companies are calling to the university, like for example, I believe in ISM, and they ask for the best 20 students to choose from to join their corporates. And you know what professor told me 5 years ago? I've got a call from like few CEOs already. Hey, how is it going? How is the finish of the year? So what are the best students we have this year? I can choose, we can have a chat and so on. They want to definitely work for business. And she realized that out of the 20 top students in her university, all of them wanted to work for NGOs. None of the students wanted to join the corporate business. And I think this was definitely the strong signal for the society and for big companies to understand what? To understand what are the values of today's young people, how do they need to change their communication, how do they need to change the environment in their companies, how do they need to rethink the purpose of what they're doing. Because probably intuitively, all of you here, you feel what the researchers show, that for us today, it's important the sense of purpose. What we do, we need to see and find the purpose. It's important to have innovations at work. It's important to have integrity. It's not something created, it's just hygiene. We don't want to hide anything, we want to go for innovation further. It's definitely what we value in CEOs now. It's strategic thinking, it's passionate attitude, right? It's inspiration and vision. And here we had Andy, who had an amazing vision. You can, if you listen to her, so you see, she's just a visionary person who is creating a goal. And many people want to work for her in his escape part. So this is what basically business had to understand. And this is how we, as a young generation, shape the business models. This is why all the CEOs and HR people have more or less this face. Right, because they read the books and see how they can deal with us, how we can make most effective ways for us to work and to deliver result. Because business, it's not about just, having fun and doing process. You need to deliver result. In the end of the day, you talk about social impact, we talk about profits, we still need to generate economy. And so this was I really liked about this story about Columbia professor, and as I work for Association of International Companies, I just love talking to my CEOs because they always, try to test with me. What do they feel? Oh, if I would implement this, some experiment in HR, do you feel like my employees would feel better or so? This is why all the corporates nowadays want to be in such audiences to listen, guys, what do you talk about? What do you feel about? What is your vision for your future in your workplaces? Because they just want to handle at some point this, right? And so after understanding the attitude and values, I think it's definitely important to talk a little bit. Where is my next slide? Can I somehow move it? No? Well, if it doesn't work, it's definitely to talk about leadership, right? So then you have a big help around us, because I think we should all, I somehow was trying to define the leadership for myself as well. And I think the biggest, my question for you is, how many of you guys feel comfortable to be called a leader? And this is more or less what I see in the audiences all the time. And, you know, with the really head down, like this, yeah, maybe. But I think it's all about today, guys, redefining the understanding of leadership. A few months ago, I've got an email from a lady who now has a successful career in a BMW in Australia. And I started reading it, and she said, thank you. And I was like, why this person from Australia should thank me? But 10 years ago, I've spent many years in an international organization called DISAC. And if someone is related to this, you know that while we're recruiting people to this organization, we have a pretty tough process. We have interviews, then we have applications and workshops. And this lady, she was in a big question in a discussion. But at that time, I believed that in youth organizations, actually, what is the most important is to give people opportunity to grow. And I saw that this lady, she really can grow. She is probably not the best at that time, but she has a potential. And at the end of the day, she was president in Lithuania, she was a board member in Australia, finally she joined BMW, because she is just crazy about BMWs and Minis. And now she really comes back to me thinking, thank you, that at that time I voiced out and asked, give her opportunity. And this is where I see that the definition of a leadership now is very much about changing the world, making a big impact and, you know, changing everyone's life. But actually, there is no world. There are only 7 billion people and understandings which we need to change. So this is the case where I believe every one of you is a leader at some point. And I believe you also were shaped by some person some time ago, and where you are here probably because of some person some time ago. If you have this person, type him an email. Probably you make somebody really feel much more courageous and understand that leadership is not only about saving your culture or country, it's really about helping other people as well. And then you will see that helping others change businesses as well, right? Because businesses, it's not structure, it's people. So when I think about leadership, I think this is this idealist and pragmatic way. I call myself always a pragmatic person, but somehow people around me always call me idealist, because like I like saving people, I like doing good and stuff, but I see always a very pragmatic reason in this. I mean, if we all will go more or do more things for ethics and transparency, we'll all work better. If we will do more social enterprises, our community will be much more happier. If we just do some voluntary projects, again, just we ourselves will feel happier. Because it's also about, you know, kind of gaining some beneficiary and happiness for ourselves. So if I may just change, I was saying that success, I believe it's not about success stories. And when we think about transforming businesses and transforming others' life, I believe that it's a lot about failure. And so my next slide is about the startup I was running 3 or 4 years ago, which I totally failed. It was my first try to create a social enterprise. And this was an online platform for craftspeople. I wanted to really help the lonely people who were creating crafts at home to sell them and earn more money. But as I say in the end, the Excel sheet didn't work. So, at that time I learned a lot. I understood the behavior of the customers, and actually the funny thing in Lithuania, and I was yesterday saying in the university to the consultancy, if worldwide we know that people which buy usually the products of social enterprises, they feel good about contributing to others. Why in Lithuania, actually, if people see that they're gonna buy a product made by, for example, a disabled person, they feel that they will buy a bad karma. And this is why this project did not succeed. And I think this is why, actually, the bar which you will go today, Mano Guru, which employs the drug addicts, For past 10 years, they were never communicating a lot in all the publicity that they employ drug addicts. Because I think this is the smartest decision in Lithuania they could ever take. Because people would not go there, they would be scared. And I think for you all guys who want to do business in Lithuania, or probably even believe in a Central Eastern Europe, take this lesson for yourself. Because for me it was the key learning and really redefined the way I do and I communicate about social enterprises in Lithuania. So when I really hardly failed there, afterwards, with some partners, I thought, well, if I can't do business myself, probably I can help others do businesses. So we launched a few years ago a social business accelerator, the first one in the Baltics. And now on, we've got already about 30 teams which passed through with amazing ideas, from creating a kindergarten for elder people to upcycling clothes to some international IT ideas. And actually, one of the partners is Phil here as well. You see, he's very involved everywhere in Lithuania. So we're gonna go to UK to meet the most successful entrepreneurs. And so, you know, just because at that time I understood what doesn't work, now I can say what works. And now I can properly consult the businesses to really make a success stories in Lithuania. So finally, I think you guys, the decisions you make are definitely the choice of your values. Because at every point in your life, if something is wrong, if something was somewhere you are not sure, only values will definitely help you to stand out strong and decide what you're gonna do. Doesn't matter you're gonna work for business, for NGOs, for social enterprises, but only I think that understanding of what you are about is really the strong backbone for you to stand, as they say, on both feet on the ground. Thank you.
Ladies and gentlemen, thanks very much, ANDŽELIKA. So this is time for questions now. So I would like to kick off with my question, just as an icebreaker, and then we'll continue with everybody else in the audience. So quite recently, I was reading up an article on the internet somewhere where the CEO of a huge bank was saying that, well, the banks at the moment are like in a threatful situation in terms of that they're gonna have an Uber moment, like the taxis had. Like there's gonna be a change in the way that people are doing business, and the new generation that's coming in is changing the way of doing business, and we as traditional corporations are in a very huge risk of becoming extinct. So my question is really, if you could comment on this, that do you also agree that the traditional corporation needs to change to make it attractive to the young generation sitting in this very venue to choose them as an employer of choice?
Yeah, I think I agree, and I think the smart and long-term vision-having corporations already are doing this. All the things you see all around sustainability, corporate social responsibility, creating charities, looking more into the need of employees is all about, guys, actually responding to your values, responding to new generation and understanding how the business should be run. Because should be fear that, like, we know for past decades, we really had this Wild West running and doing of business, just running for profits. But it's not enough, because so much damage was done to the world. And we can be very, in a way, sensible or pragmatic about it. But in the end of the day, now we see that exactly businesses are involved in saving the same world. So, just because businesses and all this, I would say, capitalist system runs very effective, this is at the same time the way to solve what we've done wrong. And all the international companies I work with nowadays, even in Lithuania, so they are definitely all analyzing the sense of purpose. If you could see, their vision, mission is not only about creating a product, but about really contributing to the society. It's about really long-term vision. It's about shareholder value. And therefore, I think even the bank's model may change, because this responsible lending is now high on the agenda as well. Because, you know, with the irresponsible lending, we just have broken probably too many lives. So it's changing, and I feel like the business, especially multinationals, they will be the key drivers. And here comes the social entrepreneurship, because this is, I feel, the most healthy way of doing business. And if you would ask me to bet for like 30, 50 years, I believe that traditional business, or understanding of a traditional business, actually will become very, very close to social enterprise. Because, you know, it's all about solving something. It's not just about creating money. And I see like in such developed markets like UK or US, the tendency is coming. So in our Central Eastern Europe, it will change some time ago, always later than sooner, but it's also up to you, because you can be these change makers.
Thank you very much. Thank you very much for such an elaborate answer. Ladies and gentlemen of the audience, please, your questions. Do we have any hands? There we have one gentleman, please, if you could stand and ask a question.
Hello.
For impressive presentation. So since you have been involved in NGOs, now you're in enterprises, working with social enterprises, how do you see cooperation between youth, governmental sector, and enterprise sector in young persons' employment progress, let's say from education to as such employment, also talking about millennials. So how is that cooperation to, let's say, involve as best as possible that young person?
Yeah, I've actually yesterday read a research made by the same I mentioned, the ISEC organization, which globally saw that the main issue or the main problem nowadays is definitely education worldwide, because we see that the imbalance between what we prepare in university and what we need for the market is too big. So what I see already happening, and definitely it will be more the tendency, the corporates or the companies will get more and more involved in the education system. They will help, let's say, in a way, the tutors, the universities, the schools, with their competence to redefine the programs, redefine what we learn, redefine the purpose, redefine the methods. It is inevitable. It's already happening. The guys who are from Lithuania can see it's, as always, starts a lot from the multinationals going there. So we see all the banks more or less have partnerships with university, all the technical area companies have partnerships with university. Regarding the government, I'm never so optimistic about the government, but I think it's inevitable for the government to also realize that they need to change the education system as such. But to be frank, I believe we'll start more with the business and more civil society cooperation with the universities, and afterwards the just government, will wrap up the nice picture and redefine a little bit the structure. So yeah, this probably would be the thought.
All right, ladies and gentlemen, any other questions? Yes, please.
Hi there, so thank you for your beautiful presentation again. And we talked a lot about differences in companies, and especially I think about generational differences. So maybe you could give one piece of advice for this beautiful young audience, how to tackle these cross-generational issues at companies.
When I was at Happy my first time at that time, we always imagine that when the young person comes to the company, he can change everything. He's so brave, young, previous. But actually my experience was personal, because at that time I also felt like this, oh yeah, I can do a lot, I have experience in ISEC, I know how the corporates works, more or less the structure, I know what I do there. But when I appeared in Happy, like 3 first days, I felt, wow, hello, what should I do here? So I think, this strong preparation before you join any company or you start your own as well, because you need to deal with the companies, is very important. So first of all, I really encourage all of you guys to get as much as you can involved in different voluntary activities. Go to different environments where you can meet different people. Maybe some people which you are going will go with very easily, but some others which you will not so be comfortable with. So you can learn, how to handle these people, how to handle their relationship and the communication between. On the other side, it's also a lot about which company you're gonna join. It's definitely still the most desirable companies for young people are multinationals. The second, actually, I think it was NGO. But in the big companies, you always have these integration programs, so you won't get lost. Definitely, everyone will take your hand and bring you through different offices, departments, people, and etc. If you get up to a small company or medium company which does not have an HR department, also strong people, a mentor for you, so this is where you need to be prepared to be as open as you can, to really get in contact with the people, understand the diplomacy in a way, understand of how you can get involved with different people in different situations. So I think first, you will never get lost in an international company, but to get ready for other companies and other organizations, just volunteer and participate in different circles so you can learn the social skills and not get lost. I mean, that's just it. You will learn everything there. It's fine.
Okay, ladies and gentlemen, one more time, recapping, start small, start with NGOs, go ahead with corporations if you like, meet a lot of people, and say thank you to ANDŽELIKA for her wonderful presentation.